It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle, not here on the Weekly Wrap. Tim is making some money now. Is that right, Chris? Is that what he's doing?
I believe this is the day he had either he went to Michigan or he had a gig somewhere. You're right. Oh, and
Okay.
he flew to Arkansas. That's what it was.
Okay. And God bless him for doing that. So there's nothing. What would you guess would be in his background today?
If I were to do a background, or would he do it if he was doing a background?
Either one.
I would have an AI image of the Keystone Cops with Providence Police behind it.
Oh my goodness. I mean, what is the latest on the latest is nothing, right?
Well, the latest is they've ID'd the quote unquote suspect. No,
I thought they shot two. There were two suspects. Or two? Was it just one?
Person
now?
of interest is the second one, and they're not even calling the suspect a suspect. That's also a person of interest.
And they already released somebody, and they identified him all and embarrassed him in front of the nation.
Have you watched these press conferences though? These are, I mean, hire a PR firm or something. You have no one that knows how to talk to the public.
Right.
You're giving no information. You're asking people. The reporters are asking questions, basic questions. Have you talked to the people that were in the classroom? This is by Monday. We haven't found out everyone who was in the classroom. Are you doing any police work at that point?
How do you spell Allahu Akbar? I mean, and they haven't admitted to that either. But there have been students who said that it happened. That's what they yelled, right? Or do we know that?
Well, the girl's name that was killed is close to that. So now they're saying, was it that? Or
okay. And she's not the same name. Now I'm going to be unnecessarily facetious, and somebody died here. The same name as the woman who just became Netflix's first sports anchor. She went from ESPN. They're similar names, I think. You know how an old man conflates names. Are you familiar with this ESPN woman who now is going to be the first sports anchor for Netflix?
You know what I avoid watching? Pre-game shows, post-game shows.
Yeah, I don't watch them either.
Clip shows. I watch the game when it comes on.
By the way, I mean, that's going to be those Christmas games are going to be are duds. I mean, they should flex out of those, and they should go round the clock with the LA police right now, because you talk about press conferences, and we'll get to that in the next segment. But I actually watched. At least it was a clip, and I could zip through it. The night of the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife. It had to be as bad as the Brown University. The guy didn't say a thing, and there were already, if you went on X or Twitter, you already knew what had happened, and he wouldn't admit to anything. So, I mean, that's
TMZ is providing more information than
TMZ was reporting, and then somebody else, and I knew that the old media was dead when after the Boston Marathon bombings, the Tsarnaev brothers, as you recall, because I'm watching on NBC. Brian Williams was still the anchor. That's how long ago it was, and I'm watching him, but I decide to subscribe just on Twitter. For nothing to the Boston Globe. So I was getting these details in the Boston Globe on what was going on. And then I'd hear Brian Williams just read the same thing like 5 minutes later. And I knew that was it. That was it and that helps explain why he had to make up the stories about being in combat, because he was even more useless at that point. And, then he gave up the ghost that way. So, I just have a quick question for you, because I missed we taped at a certain time, but I missed President Trump's what was a speech from the Oval Office or something like last night. Missed it. Did we go to war with Venezuela last night? Because Tucker Carlson said that's what he was going to say. So,
I saw Tucker. I only watched a bit of the speech. It's the same. It was, touting his accomplishments yet again. Whatever he stops and talks to the press, and I'm like, I'm just tired of hearing those. So I kind of tuned out. But we did not go to war. I know that.
It's hard for me to believe that Tucker, normally reliable, I mean, he knows the price of bread at a Soviet grocery. So, I mean, anyway.
Well, he has
So,
sources. He does sources that usually has some decent information.
yeah,
And I
kind of
mean,
missed
we
that
have
one.
surrounded Venezuela and we're seizing oil tankers at this point. So I assume it's pending at any point here. That
Yeah, I'm kind of in. I mean, I think he should go to Congress, which I don't know if he's going to do
when's
that.
the last time a president went to Congress? World War
Don't
II?
recall. State gave the State of the Union, at least paid lip service. But I think they did steal our oil, and they are using that and drugging us. I got to think it's okay to do it. I mean, some people are, it's a wag the dog thing because of the economy and all that. It's a distraction, but it really seems. I mean, now I think that. See, I'm such a hawk, neocon. I think we should be ready to fight in 4 theaters of war at once. Used to be the two war defense that we had to have, but I mean, so I'm okay with fighting this thing as long as we're ready to fight China and the Ruskies and whoever else and of course militant Islamists.
Quote unquote, hold on, Bruce. Steal our oil or steal BP and Chevron's oil?
Well, you know what? But they were taken from BP and Chevron, right?
Okay.
I mean,
well, BP stands for British Petroleum. That's
exactly
an American-based company. But
right.
you watch enough Landman to know at what point in the season does the cartel take over those oil fields that they are sitting on? You know what I mean? I feel that comes at some point.
You got me. And look, all good things come back to Landman. So no question about that. Did we talk about his comments on about the View? Did we talk about that last week? I can't remember.
No, that was in last week's episode.
Right. But I actually saw a tease about it. I knew it was going to happen, but I can't remember how much.
I don't watch the tease.
that much. I didn't know what was going to happen in President Trump's speech last night, but I knew what was Bob Thornton was going to be saying about the View before it actually happened because I read about it on Twitter. But yeah, that was good. Calling the View, a bunch of millionaires complaining about millionaires and Trump, right? So,
what do you think Billy Bob's politics really are in real life? Because he always plays a guy that's borderline to the right.
Yeah,
most of the time he plays a guy like that.
Yeah, no. Look. I mean, that show's got it all. It's a perfect show. So anyway, I'm Sunday morning. I'm waking up and thinking, okay, I got like 7 hours of NFL football to watch on Red Zone. Not including the Red Zone clock that I watch. For at least 5 minutes before it comes on, and the Bears game, and maybe some gratuitous tweeting about Sydney Sweeney. But of course, what do I wake up to? I wake up to a text from my daughter about Sydney, Australia. And it's like, are you kidding me? Had to deal with that. Actually, the only thing that interrupted that was Rob Reiner's murder later in the day. And in between there, the Bears won a football game against the Browns. But, I mean, I don't know what else to say, about Sydney, Australia. I mean, it's the same. Immediately, the prime minister or whoever that fungible turkey is says, "Oh, we need gun control," but they already have gun control. And I'll even give them this: that it's possible that because they do limit semi-automatic weapons there, you can't really get them. That it could have been worse. Okay, because these guys were using, a different kind of rifle. And it was a Muslim who saved the day too. So it wasn't a fundamentalist.
I thought he was a Christian. I thought he was a.
Oh, is he a Christian?
Christian from Lebanon, I believe.
Okay, you know me. I'm slurring. You're right. It is a Christian, but he is not a good white guy. Well, am I white? I'm not sure. You're white, right? So what's your stock? What Chris?
Danish and Irish.
Danish, Irish, right? So, yeah, I didn't know that he was a Christian.
Did you see the Babylon Bee on Monday?
What did the Babylon Bee say? Groundbreaking new study finds Islamophobia may be partially caused by Muslims killing people all the time. Actually, I did see that. It was funny. Anyway, yeah, but they emphasize gun control. Yeah, I guess so. But how about, an immigration crackdown? Oh, they do have, they really look at people and everything. But, Australia is probably experiencing the same kind of thing that everybody else is. There's Jewish people in Australia saying that this wasn't a surprise. It's there have been synagogues that have been bombed. It was leading to something like this. And, and that left, and I gave you this tweet from Art Herman that I thought we'd use it later. But basically, Art Herman, an intellectual, writes for commentary, and one of the great things about Twitter is that I get to go back and forth with him about it. But because I was just so exhausted from all this anti-Semitic stuff that I don't like talking about it. I don't like that it exists, but it just something pops up all the time. So he said, I said I really can't handle this anymore, and he says, I'm with you. It's not clear why all this S is hitting the fan at once. It's enough to make you almost miss COVID. Yeah. I mean, it's like we should, well, I don't think we should be locked down, but I actually went to a Hanukkah celebration this week, and I actually, at a mall, it's Bruce's Jews News right now. And I thought about, do I really need a gun? And, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
So you have said that your rabbi is extremely liberal.
No, that's a different. It's a little complicated. That's one of my rabbis. Okay, not this rabbi who I was, at the Hanukkah celebration for. Yeah, it's really, you think I do a lot of Jews news, but I don't even scratch the surface. I don't even scratch the tip of the iceberg. Goldberg, what's the difference? Bruce Wolf sans Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. Bruce Wolf sans Tim Slagle on the weekly wraps. So I don't know who made the most idiotic statement this past week. If it was, I want to say Chuck Schumer, which we'll show in a second, or Susie Wiles. Who put their foot in their mouth worse. But let's go to Chuck Schumer. He's trying to comment on what happened in Australia. He's the leading Jewish politician in the country, right? He's the Senate minority leader. And it was on Sunday, and it was the day, of course, that the Buffalo Bills upset the New England Patriots, and Schumer's up for re-election. And he goes, I'm going to say a few words about this shooting in Australia, but first, go Bills. And I didn't know if that was, I thought that might have been an AI thing. But he actually said that. He actually did that. I mean, you know me, tragedy plus 0 equals comedy. He's the Senate minority leader. Does he have no sense of proportion? I mean, this is why people like Howard Stern and Steve Dahl and people who are shock jock adjacent like me, we're basically roughly put out of business, even though Howard Stern just signed a 3-year contract extension. But, we're just, who's the shock jock now? The shock jock is Chuck Schumer talking like that, or Susie Wiles, or Donald Trump, and we'll get to that too. Donald Trump taking the murder. It'd be one thing if Rob Reiner, died of natural causes. But, when your son slits your throat and your wife's throat and kills you, and Donald Trump makes about it himself, how is somebody like Howard Stern supposed to top that? Not that he could anymore because he was bamboozled by Biden. But anyway.
I have a question about Chuck Schumer. This offends me.
Yeah, mine is, Chuck, why did you stop there? Why didn't you tell us about your fantasy team while you're at it? I mean, what was the point of all that?
Well, is he really is it because the Bills are the only good team in the state of New York? He's from Brooklyn. He's not a Bills fan. He's a Jets.
Oh, but he's the New York senator.
Yeah, so he's
got to appeal to upstate.
That's what I'm saying. He's up for re-election, so he's got to pander to the.
It's so pandering. It's absurd. It's so ham-fisted, and for a Jewish guy to have ham fists, horrible. Anyway, Let us go now to is it Susie Wiles we want to talk about right now? Yeah.
Sure.
So I mean, this is a smart woman, Pat Summerall's daughter.
I don't know if that makes you smart, but she is Pat Summerall's.
Well, she knows about an alcoholic's personality.
I had no idea Pat Summerall was a raging alcoholic until she said that.
Well, I did know that. I mean, the joke, somebody made the joke once that John Madden was the guy who sounded like the alcoholic, but it was Summerall who really was. And, and he admitted to that too. Summerall was I met him once, Summerall, who was a really nice guy, very tall man. Anyway, so Susie Wiles says this stuff. And, if we could skip down to, Secretary Kennedy, everybody, they rallied around her in the administration. They all said, "Oh, it's Vanity Fair." She was taken in context, whatever. and I won't read this whole tweet from him, but it is really a wonderful defense of her impeccable judgment, moral center, intuitive understanding of the president's intentions, and her ability to translate his vision into concrete policy have earned her universal trust and respect, blah, 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 blah. And the more I read this, the more I'm thinking, yeah, Susie Wiles is a really smart, cagey woman, and there's no way she accidentally said this stuff, okay? And she was taken in context. And she's the one probably playing like 8-dimensional chess. And okay, let's look innocently construe calling Trump an alcoholic's personality. She tried to say it just means that he thinks he can do anything. Well, that's not good. Okay, that's it's and of course Trump proves his personality later on. With or that very day, when he talks about Rob Reiner. But in any event, I half expected that at one point Susie Wiles was going to take the Charles Barkley route. Remember that when he complained that he was misquoted in his autobiography. So, and here's another thing.
Well, she said it was out of context. She said they didn't include the preambles or.
Oh yeah. It just had the ambles, and the ambles are pretty bad, and it's hard to explain yourself out of stuff like that. But it doesn't matter because all this stuff. It's something about Trump. There's so much of it, and you expect so much of it. It's hard for him to top himself. I think he did with the Rob Reiner thing, but even that, it just blows over.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because I'm just looking at Susie Wiles' Twitter here, and it says she's a Jaguar and Giants fan. I'm assuming that's Giants, the football team, because isn't that where Pat played? But
yeah.
Are you allowing a fan of two different teams? Is that okay? Is that okay by you?
That's a really good question. As long as they're in different states and different conferences.
So you can't be a Cubs and a Sox fan. You can't be a Giants and a Jets fan.
Right.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, there are certain rules that you have to follow. And that was an important one. We have a picture of them on the Vanity Fair cover. The administration, they took a cover shoot for Vanity Fair. I think you've got that from Jim Garrity or one of those tweets. And I'm thinking the whole reason they did this, Susie Wiles, everybody else's, it was all about the cover shoot. Okay. It's all about, remember Melania, which I don't think she ever got on the cover of Vanity Fair, like Michelle Obama did and everybody else, because she was persona non grata. And even though Melania is like easily the most beautiful first lady, the most Vanity Fair friendly cover shoot you could possibly have, but for, her president being the husband, her husband being the president. But I think it's all about the photo shoot. Everybody wants to be in that cover shoot on Vanity Fair. It's,
and she looks the worst in this picture.
That's true. But it's something about the cachet. Oh yeah, I was on the cover of Vanity Fair. But what they don't realize with the price they have to pay, because it's a cookbook. It's that's what it is. I mean, you're going to get killed. So or maybe she did realize it and still wanted to be on the cover. I don't know. It was kind of crazy that way. Hey, let's really switch over right now to I love this. KTLA has this story. Our reporter in KTLA. What happened at a Whole Foods? Did you see what happened here? There was a fight erupted in the baked goods section of a Whole Foods market in downtown Los Angeles, and the violent scene was caught on video. I went to a Whole Foods and a Walmart broke out. I mean, I think one of the fighters could have been charged with a felony because he stole a pound of wild caught Alaskan salmon and reached the $950 threshold in California. I mean, this doesn't happen there. This doesn't happen in at a Whole Foods. That's at a Walmart near where I live. I mean, behave yourself. How did that happen? That's a man by dog story.
The only Whole Foods that was on the south side, remember, they closed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right. They were. Oh yeah. We're gonna make it. There's the food desert. It's fun. They never work. One of the reasons is that poor people, for good reason, don't like to eat healthy. Okay. I mean, they like to stuff their faces, as I do, with high caloric fat. And
the crazy thing about that Whole Foods was they adjusted the prices to quote unquote fit the neighborhood, and people still didn't go there.
No, they don't want to eat. There's a University of Chicago Booth, Institute, whatever study. They don't like healthy food, and you can understand that because when you don't have a lot else going for you, you at least want to fill your stomach. And I mean, what kind of people watch their weight carefully? It's just it's not an easy thing. Do we dare to go to this story real quickly here? The New York Post one about how sniffing your own flatulence is
I'm
actually
glad you're
healthy for you.
I'm glad you're going to this story.
Okay.
All
right. We will go to that story. New York Post story. I don't even like saying the word on the air. Okay. That's how old fashioned I am. Fart. It was sniffing your own farts boosts brain power. New John Hopkins study suggests. Now, I know the problem here. They said John Hopkins. That's some dude.
See, I knew why you went to this.
It's not John's
segment. This is my new segment.
Bruce is proofreading nitpicking.
I knew that's why you're going to the story. It had nothing to do with about the farts. I knew it.
We are hand in glove. We are hand in glove that way. That's great. Yeah, it's not about the farts. It's about the fact that they say, well, because I'm just thinking, you got to read it more closely. It's not a Johns Hopkins study. It's some guy named John Hopkins.
When you actually read the story, it does change it. The story actually. So whoever writes the Twitter had it wrong, but in the story it does say Johns Hopkins.
And since you read the story and I didn't, what is the science behind that?
Well, they did it with mice. I don't know how you get mice and you're testing them for Alzheimer's, but it supposedly helps curb the effect of what the effects of Alzheimer's would be. Slows down those particular things. The methane.
This reminds me of the whole story. I think I may have told it before when Dan Proft and I were on WLS, and I used to read like stories like right off the computer without checking them. It was radio, so I would intuit what was going on. And one of the stories we read was about how in lieu of exercise, you could just stare at women's breasts in the office for 10 minutes and it would get the same result. And we actually bought it for about a minute. And because, you want to believe. And so you want to believe the same thing about flatulence, especially with the name of either John Hopkins or Johns Hopkins. It doesn't really matter. Bruce Wolf, sans Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. Bruce Wolf, sans Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. All right. This Rob Reiner thing. I mean, I hate to admit it, but I'm reading about all these people at Conan's party, and I can't help thinking that I wasn't invited. I know everybody who's at that party. Now, none of them know me, granted. But although I interviewed Billy Crystal once, and yeah, so I hate to make it about me. Of course, Trump made it about him. I mean,
How would you answer Nick Reiner's questions, though? Do you see the questions he went and asked everybody?
You know what? Here's the thing.
Bruce, what's your first name?
So
what's your last name? Are you famous? Those are the three things he was asking everybody that was taking.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh. No, so basically, he was acting just like me just now. Okay. Like and this was bothering people. This bothered Bill Hader.
Well, he was doing it he was doing it. Obviously, he knew who they were. He was doing it just to be a jerk.
Oh, okay.
Like he would go to a group of three people, butt in on the conversation, apparently, and go to each one of them. Who are you? What's your name? Are you famous? And just to be a jerk.
It was like he was actually in Spinal Tap. Okay. It's like it was actually a character in Spinal Tap. But
if you grew up with a super famous dad and the spotlight's always around and you are not,
right,
does that get to you if you have mental health issues? I mean,
it could exacerbate them, I'm sure.
And lump on being a drug addict on top of that.
And the homeless one, and they tried everything. One of the problems I have with this kind of story is the whole Gaper's block mentality. Like, is this really our business? It's just, that's why I didn't even read about. I saw the picture of Hader, outside, but I didn't go in to see because you with your prurient interest, you disgust me. What were those questions again that he asked?
What's your first name?
Yeah,
what's
right.
Name?
No,
what's your last name? And are you famous? Yes,
I get it. And well, I think it's kind of funny that he did that, but not go home afterwards and kill your parents. It's funny up to that point, and then that's really awful. So but why is Bill Hader singled out? Because I love Bill Hader and Barry.
Because they had a back and forth where Hader apparently got angry about that.
Oh, so yeah, boy. See, if I'm Bill Hader now, I'm gonna feel guilty whether justifiably or not. Because then he goes home and kills his parents. I mean, that's awful. I did do a little bit of reporting on this story. I know you've got the prurient interest, but
actually this story, I can't believe this story gets more press than the Brown story because the Brown story is the one I'm far more interested in.
Well, you would be, you sophisticated. What about the MIT professor?
Well, now they're saying there's a link. Did you see this latest news? There's
the Iranians.
A link.
That's an attack on the United States.
But does it count if isn't he Portuguese or Spanish?
The MIT professor?
Yeah.
Well, he was here.
I believe he's a Portuguese national.
Okay. Well, he was here.
But anyway, he was a defender of Israel.
That's the right. Link. Israel, United States. We're thick as thieves. Just ask Tucker Carlson. But anyway, I did do a little reporting on this story. Okay, a little Twitter reporting. I don't have a TV or radio station. Well, I do. Thank goodness for WJOB. But here's the thing. I sent our Nancy Liu, whom I used to work with at Channel 32. You remember the famous interview I did with Ronnie Woo Woo about him singing "Taking Me Out to the Ball Game," the whole purpose of which was just to introduce the two of them, Lou Woo Woo Lou, an homage to Letterman's Uma Oprah. But anyway, I sent Nancy Liu, who was covering this for News Nation. She showed a picture of the Reiner estate, and it dawned on me that they kept referring to this being in Brentwood. Okay. Well, those of us with a good memory were able to ask the question. I had Nancy Liu on the scene. Just out of curiosity, Nancy, how far is that house from OJ's? Okay. And she then told me very close, about a block or two over from Rockingham Avenue. Thank you, Nancy Lou.
Well, I have conflicting reports.
Oh, really? It's not.
Well, she's not from Los Angeles. I heard a Los Angeles report where they said it's 2 miles from the OJ house. So it could be a block or two.
Nancy Lou, you're fired.
Block or two from Rockingham, but maybe way down Rockingham the other direction.
It's rocking, but it's like, oh yeah, it's on 35th Street. Yeah, 35th and what? Wentworth? Or, where's way west? Cicero? I don't know. Okay. Well, thank you for correcting that. That's why we're here. We check each other. Oh, okay. Nancy, I don't think I'm going to send you out on a story anymore. Have to give them give her all the Dane Placco. I'm sorry.
Give her a local story. Is she based out of LA now?
Yeah, she's based out of LA.
Well, she needs to learn the map a little better.
I didn't intend for this broadcast to be an evisceration of my longtime colleague, Nancy Lou.
Let's mention another long time, or not colleague, but someone who was in the sphere at the same time as you, Don Lemon, who refers to Broadview as Chicago. He's incorrect as well.
He was at the ice facility
in Chicago in the Broadview neighborhood.
Hey, it's right. It's no problem with that. Pretty soon, Gary, Indiana is going to be considered part of Chicago, but we'll get to that story in the next segment. Talk about a tease. All right. I got a kick out of it. Loosely speaking, about people's reactions to this stuff. And there were a lot of reactions to the Rob Reiner murder from members of the right wing, our side, saying, look how good we are. We are not, turning this into a political football like the left did with Charlie Kirk. Okay. And one of the guys who was, trumpeting that was who he is, Jack Posobiec. You know him, right?
Posobiec, yeah.
Posobiec. And he was trumpeting that. Then Trump came up with a statement, okay, which was like somebody on our side being classless, okay? And Posobiec then did a reversal, and he started, distinguishing this. It's not the same thing. Okay, all right. It's not the same thing. Yeah, I honestly, what was your reaction to Trump saying that?
I mean, it starts out very nice, very sad. Someone did go pull all the things that Rob Reiner said when Limbaugh got cancer, and then Rush Limbaugh died. He still, even after he died, he refused to say anything nice. He said he was the cause of the problems. Yeah. He's a horrible human being, stuff like that.
And you know what? I got to tell you, if Rob Reiner and his wife had died from natural causes, I could kind of see it. But when you're murdered, both of you, by your own son, God, that's a tough hurdle to overcome. And me, tragedy plus zero equals comedy. And, corollary to that is, we got to react to this stuff right away.
But the question I had on this one is his son isn't suffering from anything that has to do with what Rob Reiner's been saying. He seemed like he was off on who he was accusing of doing the killing. Like he was getting out ahead of the fact that it might be a right-wing guy that went and killed him or something. That turned out to be totally false. Where were his people giving him information on this?
Oh, I totally was wondering where Trump got this idea from, because he makes it sound like, yeah, well, actually, and when I saw this, I said, got to get my old buddy Dan Proft on this, because, criticize Dan all you want, and I do. But what he is really great at is getting the voting records of celebrities. Okay. I mean, he did it to Mark Giangreco, find, he hadn't voted in anything, talk about a citizen, whatever. But so I figured if Dan would be able to get the voting record of Nick Reiner and find out he's a Republican and he was arguing with his dad, and that's why this happened. That was the only logical explanation, but we're looking for logic in a through the looking glass world. I mean, it was just, yeah, right. I have the same reaction. Where's Trump getting it? He's getting it from his own mind. Okay. Because all he can see is himself, which, even Laura Ingraham, and, she's pretty much in the tank for Trump. Right. But you know what happened with Laura Ingraham? and I just saw a little bit of this the next night. She said she replayed some of an interview she did with Rob Reiner because she had met him in a restaurant and he was really nice to her. And then she had him on and she loved his movies and everything like that. And I assume at some point she got into, well, what's all the stuff about the Russian hoax? But even so, it was nice. And you know what it is? It's retail politics. It's my Twitter motto. Some of the truth, some of the time, but all you have to do is be nice to me, a smile, a kind word, and I'm easily bought. And that's what happened. Laura Ingraham was like pro Rob Reiner, even though how much she can't stand what he had to say about Trump. And even Greg Gutfeld, I believe on the 5, I just read what he said, but it was like, I might have said, I'm sorry he died. We had disagreements, but really it's bad. And it wasn't the Gutfeld, who goes for the jugular on his comedy show at 9:00. Certainly, I'll bet you dollars to donuts he didn't rip Trump because they're not allowed to, because their testicles haven't descended. But
Gutfeld started as a never Trumper.
Who?
He was a never Trumper in the whole first election.
Oh, sure. And then, then he saw the dollar signs. I get it. Bruce Wolf, sans Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, sans Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap, just to put a bow on this whole Rob Reiner thing. I mean, this is how crazy it got. Nick Fuentes. Okay. Nick Fuentes actually said Trump went too far. Okay. And I'm thinking to myself, media, it says Trump loses Nick Fuentes over evil Rob Reiner remarks. Now, Rob Reiner was a Jew. That should count for something, right? And this whole thing is turned into the WWE. And I even think there was a WWE guy who left because of what Trump said. It's too much a carnival. So let's move on to another carnival right now. The Chicago Bears, or soon to be maybe the Gary Bears. What do you make of this, Chris? Do you think it's real? Is it a feint?
Well, I mean, you have to have leverage, right?
Oh no, Kevin Warren, the president of the Bears, specifically said in his letter to the Bears fans and season ticket holders, this is not leverage. Which, of course, anytime somebody says this is not leverage, it means it's leverage.
Yeah.
But okay,
you lost the city of Chicago as leverage. Brandon Johnson. I don't even think he knows what a football is. He doesn't care much about that. Is there any way you can help social justice with the Bears staying? That's his only question. So You need other leverage. You need to find. There might be a spot in Naperville that pops up in the next week, and DuPage County becomes part of a player in this. You never know. He just needs to play somebody against somebody. A lot easier to go to Gary because now you're dealing with a different state house making decisions. So it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Well, first off, I think in defense of Brandon Johnson, we could take the money that we're saving on the Bears, and we could hire another Chicago public school teacher to sit in an empty school building and just stare at the chalkboard. We could do that.
The CTU would then say that should be remote learning and they get to stay at home, though. You know that. Does this open the door for the Cardinals to return?
I would hope so. I was a big Paul Christman fan. The old Chicago Cardinals. Here's the thing. Apparently, this is not just a fake. What I'm hearing, and these are third-hand sources I have. Okay, so it's not necessarily a fake, because what Warren said was the legislature said we aren't, his word was they're not going to take it up in the next year. They're not even going to take it up, and that was the signal. Okay, the gloves are off. We're going to fight because we've done everything that we can, and it would be Indiana already has passed legislation for a stadium authority. The Bears are trying to sound reasonable because they have offered to pay for the stadium. A lot of NFL teams don't pay for the stadium, but what they wanted was the infrastructure paid for, and I heard on the score some guy yelling the Bears, this legislature is being irresponsible. And the score hosts, they normally like them, Mully and Haw, didn't challenge the guy and say, well, what's so irresponsible about the legislature saying no? I mean, there's plenty of evidence that these stadiums are boondoggles and they don't really do anything for the municipality or the state. And, maybe it's about, and they're saying it sounds like Pritzker is running for president and he can't do that. As much as I don't like Pritzker, and here's what I imagine is going to happen. If you recall, do you remember when for the White Sox stadium when they were threatening to go to St. Petersburg and Jim Thompson, what he had to do the 11th hour? Do you recall seeing that? Do you remember that? I saw it. I was on TV at the time.
I do remember it.
Okay, so it's the 11th hour, and Thompson is on his knees next to legislators, and we know what he was doing on his knees next to the legislators. Pause. And I'm just fearful that Pritzker's going to have to do the same thing, and I'm afraid that he won't be able to get up. Okay, and that's going to be embarrassing. So I'm looking ahead. I would expect a courtesy laugh out of that, Chris. I would really hope for one. I thought that was rather nasty and clever.
It was under my breath.
Anyway, so then there was talk that how could the Bears put out an announcement like this the week of the Packer game? It's going to be so distracting. To whom? Okay. Apparently, and the Bears' excuse, I guess, is that they wanted to get ahead of this because the Tribune was going to break the story that they're considering Gary now. And I'm thinking, if the Bears lose to the Packers because Tyreek Stevenson is looking up real estate listings in Schererville while Jordan Love is completing a Hail Mary to Boyd Dollar, we will know who to blame, the Chicago Tribune.
I have a question about
Sure.
How in the world Micah Parsons goes down.
Yeah.
Your number one receiver, Watson, goes down. And the Packers are favored by 1.5 points on Saturday.
I have no idea. Because normally, the home ice is 3 points. So the Packers are still favored. Now, I will say this. The Bears do have some guys who are injured, too. They've got Odunze and Luther Burden are out.
Not at the level of Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons is the Packers defense.
Right.
They gave up everything. They mortgaged the farm.
You saw what happened in the second half when he went down. They could not get anywhere near the quarterback, and
Bo Nix
was able to pick him apart. Yeah.
Now
Bo
here's
Nix, who is a mid-level quarterback, maybe mid-level plus. When you put pressure on him, he could do nothing. In the first half, it was great, and in the second half, he looked like he was an all-star because they got no pressure on him.
Yeah. I think Bo Nix is a little better than mid-level.
I think Caleb Williams is better than Bo Nix. And I think he can escape better and he can throw on the run better.
First of all, that pass, to paraphrase or to borrow a line from Jeff Joniak, that pass to DJ Moore, Caleb Williams, you are ridiculous. And by ridiculous, I don't mean ridiculously great. I mean insane. That's a pass that should not have been thrown. I've seen that pass thrown by Brett Favre and others. And you know what happens when they throw that pass? There's an interception. That's what happens. But he got away with it. I mean, the guy's obviously, and he's moving to his right. He's throwing to his left, and he makes the play. At that point, I think they felt comfortable. They had the lead, and he could throw a pass like that. And he's becoming a genius because it worked. I mean, do you think that pass is evidence of what?
I'd have to see a replay. I'm a Packers fan. I don't watch the Bears.
Oh, you don't watch the Bears? Okay,
I watch them twice a year when they play the Packers.
Are you a Packer fan?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. You can come out of the closet and say that.
I'll give you the 1.5 points on this.
No. No, I think that you're right. So Christian Watson, is he out too?
He's out.
Okay, he's such what a pussy, Christian Watson. Every time I see him, he goes down and he's out.
He's made out of porcelain. Yes,
gets
hurt. He just fell when he got hurt.
Yeah, and look, I think what happened was, though, in the last game, this is the serendipity for the Bears this season, because LaFleur complained after the game, and you're a Packer fan, so you must know this. He complained that the officials were not calling any of the holding that the Bears were doing on Micah Parsons. Okay, and now the Bears don't have to face Micah Parsons at all, so that's pretty good luck over 2 games in 3 weeks. But the Bears were really vulnerable to the big plays from the Packers. Now, granted, Christian Watson was the recipient of one of those passes, I believe. But
big play guy.
Yeah, but there was a number of big plays, and the Bears have some injuries.
I still don't get the 1.5 the Packers.
Yeah, no.
Because we're close to getting a gambling sponsor after this. We
should. We absolutely should.
We have time to talk about Dan Bernstein, because let's make sure that we call him a jerk one more time.
You want to say?
I mean, just an idiotic thing. We could also talk about Sydney Sweeney's boobs being real, but whatever.
Whatever you want. We got a number of things here that we could hit. I thought we'd actually get to the Ben and Jerry's owner. Did you see that? I sent it to you today from CBS News. The original owner of Ben and Jerry's, they sold out years ago to Unilever, and now it's Lever, whatever. And now it's owned by some company called Magnum. He's upset that they're no longer socially conscious. All right. The original owner. And I think it was that new flavor. Kamala Harris is an idiot pecan. I think that was the one that gave it away. But, hey, this guy wants to have his cake and eat his ice cream too. He didn't have to sell. He didn't have to sell and make millions, if not billions of dollars.
Well, I don't know. So you're guaranteed. I assume their deal was they have 2 board spots for themselves, right? Ben or Jerry Jerry. So that's all they're saying is at the board meeting, when you're outnumbered on the board, well, too bad, you sold. You're right.
Yeah. Go cry in your pile of Ben and Jerry's lot of dough. All right.
When you make ice cream named after Stephen Colbert.
Oh, gee whiz. All right, we got one quick final comment to make. Who do you want it about?
We can go Sydney Sweeney.
All right, Sydney Sweeney it is. News. I wanted to talk about Sydney Sweeney. I wanted to tweet about her, but then Sydney, Australia took precedence. Sydney Sweeney reveals if her breasts are real in lie detector test. Is that true?
It's 100% true.
Did you see the picture of her? She was wearing a white dress at it was the premiere of whatever movie she's in. It's not the one that you're showing right now. But it's just amazing that she can still astound every time that she's wearing something. It's simply amazing. It's not that. Roll through about 50 more photos, and then I'll tell you which one it is. It's not that. It's great. Okay. Bruce Wolf stands Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.